It is about 9 p.m. in Moscow, 8 p.m. in Kyiv. NBC is reporting that Biden has been briefed with options for massive cyber attacks against Russia.
This would also include disrupting the internet across that country, shutting off power and stopping trains in their tracks. Let's welcome in now former State Department spokesperson Morgan Ortagus. Morgan, great to have you with us.
Thank you for having me.
We've seen a picture released from the White House showing President Biden in the Situation Room this morning. But I think a lot of Americans would expect more, at least in terms of a response. They say they're coordinating with our G7 leaders. But, Morgan, shouldn't we have seen the president already today?
Well, we should have seen him last night. I think probably both of you, like me, were up late. I tried to go to bed and then realized what was happening and was up most of the night reviewing this. Yeah, I think that the president had a canned statement that he put out last night. The bottom line for your viewers is that President Biden's version of deterrence failed, right? As we're seeing the images and everything that you're reporting all day, Russia has invaded Ukraine. And the central problem, and listen, when I worked for President Trump and Mike Pompeo, one of the things that we preach constantly, both publicly and privately, is that we needed to view the world and the actors on the world stage for how it really is, not for how we want it to be. And for too long, the left in America and the left in Europe, quite frankly, have lived in this idealized world that actors like Putin and Xi Jinping are rational and will act in the best self-interest for their country. Well, listen, that theory has been disproven today, and anybody who looks at the world realistically could have told you that for the past year. So we are a day late and a dollar short on all of the actions that President Biden may announce today. Listen, the Democrats have been playing politics with Ukraine for a long time, and it goes all the way back to the sham impeachment that they did of President Trump. They used Ukraine as a political football to score political points in the U.S. They started weakening Ukraine's leadership back then. Then they come into power. They delayed at least 3 times. It's been reported that the National Security Advisor, Jake Sullivan, delayed military aid to Ukraine at least 3 times. So it's very hard to sort of be predictive and say, you know, what we should do going forward. John, because we have failed so much in the year leading up to this moment.
We also see the farce that is the UN, Morgan. I know how frustrating it used to be for you and for Secretary Pompeo as well. But they're going to go ahead and call a vote today before the Security Council, even though Russia has a permanent seat on the Security Council and China's on the Security Council as well. So nothing's going to come of it. And we do see NATO seemingly spinning their wheels as well, and the UN spinning their wheels as well. And, you know, you have to take a step back and wonder, you know, what is the point of these institutions if they couldn't have prevented this?
Well, even last night, as all of us were probably up watching the news, there was an emergency Security Council meeting on it, and it was being chaired by Russia. So if anything, if there was a visual that could have described how sometimes useless the United Nations can be, it was certainly that visual where Russia was chairing the Security Council meeting while the Ukrainian ambassador to the UN was condemning them for attacking their country.
And kudos to him, too. You know, he was saying there is no purgatory for war criminals. They go straight to hell. That was a powerful message.
That's right.
And that's what Vladimir Putin is at this point, right, Morgan? He is a war criminal.
Absolutely. I mean, listen, look at what President Zelensky said at the Munich Security Conference just last week. You know, everybody was there. And listen, I believe in the transatlantic alliance. We need allies. We need partners. We need a strong NATO. Despite all the rhetoric during the Trump administration, that's actually what we were trying to push for. You know, in 2018, I think it was 2018, when President Trump called out the Germans for being totally energy dependent on the Russians, you know, everybody flipped out in the media, but he was right. I mean, he was really a prophet in the wilderness for what was going to happen. And we tried to keep pushing for a strong NATO alliance for simply exactly what you're seeing today. Listen, there's a couple things, too, that we really need to look forward to. Obviously, we have the president's address this afternoon. We have his State of the Union next week. But don't forget, President Biden's budget last year for the military was basically flat. And considering inflation, it's a decrease. He has, within the next month, he's going to have to put out another budget for the military. He's undergoing a nuclear posture review. Not to scare our audience, but it's, you know, this is out there. People know our ballistic missile interceptors that are strategically placed in our country are aging rapidly. We need more of them. They need to be rebuilt. This country, right now, today, did you know, John, if we wanted to build a nuclear weapon today, we don't have the capability to do it. Our military equipment, our defense systems are aged, and the Biden administration is not only not doing anything to rebuild them, they're trying to cut back on our military at a time when Putin and Xi Jinping are very clear that they're going to pursue their aims militarily.
Well, and it's a good thing too, Morgan. We just kicked everybody out of the military for not getting vaccinated, at a time when we need as many soldiers as we can possibly have in our armed services at this time. I hope the Pentagon is going to start reaching out to those folks and try to get them back in the fold. I mean, you talked about it as well. Yeah. We talked to Ken Buck earlier about, the sympathetic ear that President Biden would get to Congress, but he, of course, is going to have to suck it up and admit he was wrong about all this stuff. Does he have the capacity to do that?
No, I mean, it doesn't look like it. I couldn't believe my eyes, by the way. I mean, before I went on your show, I saw that John Kerry said, that Russia he's upset with Ukraine. I'm paraphrasing, but essentially Russia needs to not take their eye off the ball as it relates to climate change. That was John Kerry's big statement of the day. And so I checked 3 times to make sure that it wasn't The Onion or some sort of,
spoof
website making fun. Yeah, spoof. Thank you.
Babylon Bee
I
stuff
thought that's
right
what
there.
It was. Babylon Bee. That's right. So this is a serious time. We need serious people. I can tell you, I was with President Trump yesterday, actually. And it made all of this news even harder to be with President Trump, because having worked for him, I knew that if he was president right now, Russia would not be invading. Listen, all the things that Russia was trying to negotiate with us and put on the table. Marshall, Billingsley, Pompeo, our team at the State Department were negotiating a treaty called New START that we're in that needed to be re-upped, right? And we said, well, we're just not going to go blindly back into it and re-up it. We want to get something for this, because you guys have been cheating on INF that we had to withdraw from. So I say all that to say all the things that the Russians have been pushing the Biden administration for, they came to us at the last 6 months of the Trump administration, and we said, no way, buzz off, right? That these are not things to negotiate for. So, weak presidents, that's what begets
Weakness
war, right?
Not
strong presidents. And while they may have not liked a tweet or two or some things that President Trump said, I can tell you, I was in the room with Mike Pompeo, with the Russian Foreign Minister Lavrov. We went to see Putin in Sochi. And I can tell you that Mike Pompeo held the line. We stood up for America. And so this is my problem with the Biden administration. I remember even in the Obama administration, way back, you guys remember in 2009, early 2009, when President Obama said that he was going to surge in Afghanistan. And John, I had a problem with that, because President Obama at the time announced, the end date and sort of, we're going to surge, but then we're going to be gone a year later.
Right.
And there's a part of me that says, let's not go to these European conferences and encourage more countries to enter NATO and give all these countries hope if we have no teeth behind what we're doing. It's the same thing with the surge in Afghanistan that President Obama did, or the red lines that President Obama drew in Syria that he, of course, let be crossed. That's my big problem is that, President Obama and now President Biden, their teams value rhetoric and hashtags over hard power. And I think that's the opposite, because you could go to the Munich Security Conference and pat each other in the back and talk about how we're united. And the Biden administration is so much friendlier and says nicer things than the Trump administration. Well, now where has that gotten us?
Right.
And dictators like Putin, by the way, like the Iranians, you look at the Ukrainians. What is one of the things that they said yesterday? Or in the last couple of days in their speeches, they said, listen, you told us to give up nuclear weapons. We gave up nuclear weapons because you told us we were going to be protected. Let me tell you who was listening to that, right? Every thug and dictator around the world who wants to get a nuclear weapon now knows we have to
Gaddafi as well.
Security.
Another guy who gave up his nuclear weapons, and the Obama administration did not protect him during the Libyan crisis. There's a laundry list, Morgan, of things that should have been precursors to preventing what's happening right now, and it wasn't listened to. I mean, we have the same people in the State Department now, or a lot of the same people in the State Department that worked under President Obama. We should not be surprised that this is happening again. But Morgan, great insight.
It's the same leaders.
Same leaders. Jake Sullivan, all those folks, a lot of the same folks. Morgan, great to see you. We appreciate your insight.
Thank you for having me.
Hey, I'm Rob Finnerty. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this video, please join the conversation in the comments below. Don't forget to subscribe, too. Hit the bell icon to be alerted to breaking news. And remember, there's a whole lot more on Newsmax TV, America's fastest growing cable news network. Newsmax TV, where real news for real people.